don't know why I'm yawning. It's actually strength. Like,
No! Oh! No! Now, the Tornado V3 was released early this year in 2023, and at some point, many people would have said that the Tornado V3 was the best cube of 2023. But is it still true? Some of you may know about Moyu's surprisingly good cubes that came out this year, which came after the Tornado V3. So with those 3 cubes released, does the Tornado V3 still deserve the title of Best Cube of 2023? Well, let's talk about this. So, how does this cube perform? Now, the controllability in this cube is pretty good. One thing I like specifically about this cube is that it has a nice amount of flex, which allows you to not have to turn so accurately, which may be kind of adaptable to other turning styles. Okay. And of course, this adds to the overall controllability of the cube, and it can allow your solves and your turns to be a bit more fluid. Now, another interesting feature about this cube, which probably a lot of people picked up on, was just the unique feeling of this cube. Now, if I were to describe how this cube feels, it would be premium, plush, and squishy. And you may be able to pick up on that if I show you how the cube sounds when I turn the cube. So here's a sound check. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the specs of this cube, but it has a very effective tensioning and compression system, and it also has adjustable magnets. So, just getting that out the way, I think you are able to slow it down to where it can be controlled. On this topic, I do want to mention which version of the cube I think is best. I use the flagship version the most. I think it does fit the cube well if it has a magnetic core, and so the standard version, it's not really the one I use the most. The Pioneer version, which has maglev, I feel like you might not like as much as the flagship because I have both the spring compression and the center travel at the highest setting. I think it's a bit too fast to be at those high settings. So on that topic, you might like the flagship version the most of the 3 versions. One small downside about the Tornado V3 is that, well, at least for the flagship version, which is my favorite one, or the one that I use the most, sometimes I feel like it's kind of blocky. Sometimes it's not as enjoyable, and sometimes I wish that there was a bit more of a, I don't know, less blocky. I don't think that way all the time, and overall, it fits my turning style pretty well, and I am able to achieve my normal times on this cube. So with that said, is the Tornado V3 still the best cube of 2023? Well, let's talk about the flagship version specifically because that's the one I use the most. With that, you have adjustable magnets, an adjustable spring compression, and center travel. And on top of that, an amazing performing cube. A cube that performs amazingly. So if we compare this cube to the top versions of the new Moyu Cube releases of this year, which don't have adjustable magnets nor adjustable center travel, I would say that the Tornado V3 is one of the best cubes of 2023, but I'm not quite ready to say that it is the best, but on par with the new Moyu releases of this year, discluding the Super RS3M V2. So I would say that the Tornado V3 is one of the best cubes of 2023, but I'm not quite confident enough to call it the best cube of 2023. Despite the shortcomings of the new Moyu cubes, like not having adjustable magnets or center travel, the main thing I look for in a cube is performance. And I think the Weilong V9 and the YS3M perform amazingly. So with that said, from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't confidently say that the Tornado V3 is my favorite because, I don't know, the new Moyu cubes are just great. Who knows, maybe it will in the future, but I kind of need to test out the cubes more to formulate an opinion on which I think is best for me. In addition, I may think twice about using this cube in competition because although I'm doing really good at home with this cube, I'm not quite sure it would work well in pressure situations. In competition, I might consider the YS3M because it is slow and it might be more helpful to use a slower cube. in a competition, in pressure situations. And the perks of the Tornado V3, the YS3M, and the Weilong V9 differ. I mean, the Tornado V3 has a great feeling, the Weilong V9 has a pretty nice bubbly feeling, and the YS3M has a good compact feeling that you might like. In case you're wondering, I don't really have a main. I'm kind of just using which cube I feel like using, and many cubes right now are pretty fitting for my turning style, and I'm not really sticking to one cube for my cubing sessions, so don't really have a main. But I will say the RS3M 2020 is still good in my opinion. Now, one version of the Tornado V3 that I have is the YoCube, specifically the YoCube Deluxe 2. Now, this is the flagship version of the Tornado V3, and it's the same setup that Cube had used for his Belgium national record single. So how would I describe this cube? So as I said before, the Tornado V3 has a good and satisfying feeling, and it's pretty smooth. And with the setup of the YoCube, I'd say that the loops make it feel more smooth, and specifically more silky smooth. While that might sound good, I wouldn't say it gives the cube the best performance. The loops kind of give the cube a bit more of a glidey feeling, and I guess I'd kind of want something with a bit more resistance, because as good as a glidey and smooth cube sounds, it doesn't necessarily give the best performance, and I would probably go with a cube with a bit more resistance, or a setup with more resistance, like my personal setup, which is probably just Angstrom, Gravitas, and Dignitas. But overall, it's a good cube, but I probably wouldn't be sticking with this version of the cube. So yeah, that's my mini review of the YoCube Deluxe 2. I will mention that the Tornado V3 is the world record breaking cube used by Max Park to get the 3.13 world record single, and so maybe that makes you want to buy this cube more. Who knows? And overall, despite the competition I've mentioned and maybe the slight drawbacks of this cube, in my personal opinion, this is still a great cube. You really can't go wrong getting this cube this year, because it's just overall it's an amazing cube. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Tornado V3. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at KADtheCuber. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. You can call back later when you're done.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Look up your skirt. You're doing great. You're doing
Thank you.
great. Oh, look at this one. Cute. I screen recorded a bit.
Did you? Oh, cool. I was stuttering a lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe I'll add this section to the video.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.